There we go. Okay, welcome back to my backyard. Oh, I've grabbed the wrong book. Oh, well, you know what? We're going to keep doing it. So I'm going to do a video on book length because Charlotte had a question in the comments about what are my general thoughts on book length. And I grabbed the wrong book, but just bear with me. I've got a couple of other books here, a whole stack. So I have lots of thoughts about book length, and most of it comes from experience because I have written books of all different lengths. So right off the top, remember that everything that I say is they're my thoughts based on my own experience, and take what is useful to you and leave what doesn't apply, right? Like, this is not didactic, but the things that I have learned are a couple of things. One, here to continue the idea of a couple of videos ago, here are two things I would tell you if we were talking about book length in a bar at a conference. One, there's this interesting thing about how digital reading, ebook reading has changed the marketplace, because a Kindle or a Kobo, or even reading on like any ebook reading app will track your progress as you're reading, and it gives you sometimes it gives you a page length, but often it gives you a percentage read. And a 30,000 word book gives you, on most e-reading devices, depending on like how big the text is, gives you roughly 1% progress per page read turn. So every time you swipe to the next page, a little counter at the bottom of the screen goes up by about 1%. If a book is less than 30,000 words, sometimes it'll go from like 3% to 5%, 6%, 7%, 9%, 10%, 12%. And that kind of jumping of a little number at the bottom of the screen can tell a reader subconsciously this book is really short. So if I'm going to sell a book as a complete book and not as a novel, and not as a novella or a short story as part of a collection, I now aim for 30,000 words as a minimum. And I say that as somebody who writes contemporary romance and erotic romance in single book form, right? So that's not to say you can't write shorter, but I would consider about how your packaging shorter works. And I'll get to a little more about that in a minute, because I certainly have done that. But those books don't sell as well, because you'll find that you get reviews over time that say this was really, really short. Now you're going to get that on books that are 80,000 words too. But there's something about that psychological, or even if they don't leave a review, like there's this truth about the more reviews you get, each of those represents like exponentially more readers who don't leave reviews. So even if you don't get reviews that say this story is short, if you see a drop off in read through after a short part of a series, there might be a reason for that, and it could be that dissatisfaction, particularly if the short book follows a longer book. And I have an example of that here. So my Frisky Beavers series that I co-write with Sadie Holler is the pretty big beefy books. Look at how, see if we can focus on that. They're pretty big books, right? So Prime Minister is 93,000 words. Full Mountie, you're having trouble focusing. Let's do this again. Prime Minister is 93,000 words, and Full Mountie, it was like 98,000 maybe. So they're big, beefy. My children were checking on me. They're big, beefy books. And then for an author collective project, a group project, Sadie and I wrote a short story. And you can see how much shorter that is? Oh, let's just compare it to one. See how much shorter that is? And this story is really cute, and it was for the Cards of Love, it was for the Cards of Love project, where each story is inspired by a tarot card. And I really love Baz and Meadows' book, but on its own, and it doesn't fit into the weighty length of the rest of the series. So what we ended up doing was we split it and some other short stories that we had written in the series that we hadn't released in ebook. We split those into their own series called Frisky Beaver's Quickies, and they just don't sell as well as the novels. But they didn't sell the two that were attached to the series, that one and one called Retrosexual. They didn't sell when they were attached to the novels either. So based on that experience, and I have another series, my very first small town series, Wardham, where I did the same thing. I had varying lengths throughout, like, and I'm not talking about like 60,000 versus 70,000. I'm talking about like 13,000 versus 70,000. When I say varying lengths, I mean varying lengths. And they just, the sell-through is not as consistent because the reader experience is inconsistent. You just can't do as much character development in 13 or 16,000 words as you can in 80 or 90. So now I like to focus as much as possible, because we're creators, we're artists, we're we're not necessarily the most regimented of folk, but I like to, as much as possible, stick to a similar length or expand. So this, my final example, is my Pine Harbor series. And the first two books, here, you can see, yeah, okay. The first two books were each about 60,000 words. And then, so that's book 1 and book 2. And then by the time, this is book 6 and book 7, and they're both over 100,000 words. And then the last book was 80,000 words. And I got a lot of comments after these two books, 6, 7. When I wrote book 8, I got a lot of comments that it was short. But it's longer than book 1 and book 2. See? So, I was wrapping up a series and getting ready to launch a new Pine Harbor series, so I don't regret that the last book was a little bit long, because it didn't really affect sell-through to the first book in the next series. But that first book in the next series is 85,000 words, because I have learned that I can't write 50 and 60,000 anymore, not consistently. So I beefed up book 1 so that it would kind of create this, that's my 85, 90,000 words is kind of my goal for that entire series. But you can, and this was the series that I was holding at first, I didn't grab the right book 3. I grabbed 2 book 1s, but I promise book 3 is the same length. Let's do it like this. This is a series where they're all the same length. And this is the goal. This isn't to say that you have to write only 80,000 words. Each of these is about 40,000 words. But you can have a short series, and you can have a long series. Just don't make them the same series, and you're good. So this can be your catalog. Let's do a visual like this. You can see the darkness. Can you see that those are 2? There we go. This can be your catalog, okay? This is an okay catalog. I'm gonna drop my books. This is not the greatest of catalogs, right? This, it makes for an inconsistent reader experience. So, if you are going to be mindful, are you gonna come and say hi? Yeah. Okay.
I am the mind blower! I'm gonna blow you! Come
on! I mean, sometimes our special effects don't work that well. Anyway, you want to do it again?
I'll be right back.
Okay. Anyway, so if you want to be cognizant of ideal reader experience, stick your series to as similar length as possible. And when I say similar, I mean within a range. So like anywhere between 35 and 50,000 words together is fine. 50 to 80 is fine. 70 to 100,000 words is fine. And but I also think you need to balance there with, you want to have kind of a consistent reading experience in terms of style. Like some people say, well, if I have a really long book 1, should I split it into parts and then continue with book 2, which is about a separate couple, being book 4 after a trilogy? I don't know that I like that either. So it's complicated, and there's a balancing act, and of course, write the books that you want to write, and then figure out how to package and market them afterwards. That's always a good rule. So there we go. That's another video from my backyard with a guest star who is currently working on his technical details over there. Do you want to come and say goodbye before I say? Remember to like and subscribe and comment, and let me know what else you want me to cover.
I was thinking we should make a pizzeria.
Okay. On YouTube, or maybe could we do that after I've done this video?
Well, yeah, like we'd make pizza and give it to people for like $5.
Oh, nice. That'd be cheap pizza.
Or something. I don't know. Yeah, and it'd be like tiny, like snack-sized pizzas.
Nice.
Yeah, like.
Can we say goodbye first?
Oh, goodbye, and also just letting you know if you leave.
Do we say goodbye?
Goodbye. But remember, there will be a pizzeria.
Okay.
Cut the school name out.
I will.
There will be a pizzeria.
Okay.